Okay, attempting to show methods of stoning on Oster bolt dies. To start, take a look and try and see. You can see the frosted effect on both sides of every tooth on this die past the first full tooth, but you can see it on both sides. There's like a glazed or a frosted effect where the die has been cutting or shaving. Ideally, you don't want to see that in this level on every tooth, but these dies are well used. If this was a new set of dies and you were having lead issues or gauging issues or fitment issues, you would pay more attention to the side that has more glazing. Typically it's going to be on one side or the other, and so you're going to pay more attention to that side, but I tend to always hone both sides of the teeth anyway, especially on new dies and anything lower than probably 8 threads per inch, although if you are holding really tight tolerances, honing the dies right out of the box can help too. It depends on what your fitment requirements are. So I'm going to attempt to show my method of stoning bolt dies now for an initial hone, and both techniques that I use when I'm going through this process. So I'm going to switch to a different set of dies with bigger teeth. Hopefully it's a little bit easier to see on video what I'm doing. It's kind of hard to capture because the stone gets in the way, but I just did want to show the kind of the frosted or the glazed effect first. Okay. So I have a set of dies here with larger teeth. These are 2-inch 4.5 pitch. It is often necessary to stone these dies to control the lead. When stoning dies, again, you do typically want to avoid the first full tooth. I'm going to hone this one a little bit just because, again, these dies are really aggressive. It's a really large thread profile, and it's also going to allow us to kind of see what we're doing here a little bit better. So the first thing that I always do on any stoning of a die, just to give it a little bit of easiness into the material, is I'll stone the throat. If you look on our website, there is a guide on that, but basically it tells you to lay the stone on the throat like this. Okay, so what I'm just doing is I'm matching the angle of the stone to the angle of the throat. You can kind of see it's laying right on that there. And then what I'll typically do is I will then tip the stone forward just slightly so that my pressure is just ever so lightly on the face of the throat. So then I will kind of go like that, and I usually hold it up to my chest to do this. You can see where, again, I have it mostly on the profile of the throat, but I'm just tipped just a little with my pressure slightly forward, but you can't even necessarily see it. That's also helpful on pipe dies a lot of times, where you'll see a jewel defect. Trying to show you the effects of what I just did there, and you can kind of see this is it looks like glare, and it is, but what you'll see is there's right on the front there, you'll see there's more of an abrasion from the stone, and it does kind of follow the whole body, right? But you got more right there on the front of the throat there. You can see this kind of, this right here, right along there. Okay, And that's actually a similar technique to what I use on stoning the teeth themselves. So one thing we're going to keep in mind when we're stoning bolt dies is that only the first full tooth does your cutting. The rest of the teeth are there to maintain the lead. So if you see a bunch of the frosting or the shaving or the glazing, indication that the steel has been cutting on this face of the tooth, right? And it's on either the right side or the left side, that's going to indicate where you're cutting and you don't want to be cutting. You know, you only have one really big full tooth on here and then another tooth, because again, this is such an aggressive thread form. If we come back over here, right, to these 7-pitch dies, you know, again, so your first full tooth is going to be this tooth or this tooth, and then you have, you know, either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 receding teeth. So we really don't want these receding teeth to be cutting, okay? And so when we see that, that's where we're gonna stone. When we are stoning bolt dies, we're gonna apply the same principle that we used on the throat, where you get, again, you get that, there you can see it, that tiny little line, see where there's more of that on the front, and the whole surface is abraded. I did hone the whole thing, but the pressure focus was here, and so you just get this little bit of just this little roll off, just this little roll off. It helps ease that into the cut, and that's basically what we're trying to do here for stoning as well, is just create a little bit of roll off on all the teeth past the first full tooth. And again, because these are 2-inch 4.5 dies and they are very aggressive, I'm going to hone the first full tooth a little bit as well. It's just not going to be as, I'm not going to do it as aggressively. So there's two surfaces we care about here when we are doing this kind of, if you think about a tooth on a die, it is a triangular prism. So you have the face of the triangle, right? And you have the body of the triangle going back. So, you know, the body of your prism, and then you have the back face of the prism, the back face of the tooth, the triangular form. So when you are stoning the dies, you care about two really surfaces here. One is the tangent point, this line, right? The tangent point where the face of the prism meets the wall of the triangle of the prism. So this actual surface right here on every tooth. So there that you know, every tangent point, okay? And so if you have dies that are cutting too aggressively or cutting too slow or too fast, and you want to dull out that and prevent that from cutting, what you can do is you can just hit that tangent, just kind of come across it like at a 45, right? And you're just gonna kind of you're just dulling that out a little bit, right? And you can see it should, you know, you see where it's taking on that little bit of frosted effect of its own now, and you won't see that on this tooth. So if you look at the front tangent point there, you can see that little frosted effect, okay? So when I have dies that are cutting too aggressively and I just want to stop the tooth from cutting there, so if I had really heavy frosting or glazing on this side of all the flanks of my teeth, then I'm just going to run across like that. Okay, I'm not applying a lot of pressure here. I'm not trying to put a chamfer on it. I'm just trying to dull it out a little bit, so it's not aggressive. It's still sharp. It's still going to cut steel. If I, you know, it's not going to cut me, but it's still a sharp tool. And then I'm going to do, you know, again, so we had it all on this side. So then I would come in here and hit this flank, right? This guy. And so now I'm going to kind of run across that at that same kind of 45-degree angle, right? And then, you know, how aggressive you have to be with this, how hard you're gonna go, you have to be in the field and actually take your cut. So now you can see we've got, again, two tangent edges there that have been kind of honed out, and you're not gonna see that on these. Okay, you can see there's a minor difference there. You don't see that shiny edge on the die on the right. Okay. If you have new dies and they're just cutting aggressively, like this set here where we had you know, pretty hardy shaving frosting on both edges, you know, or you got a new set of dies and you're trying to hone them in, again, you can lightly hit every surface. We actually do this after we resharpen them, and we do this with new sets of dies. Again, I'm going to do this lightly because, again, you want to break the edge, right? They shouldn't be sharp. So I just break the edge a little bit on all of those, and then that does it. And if you have more aggressive cutting and it's really still not getting in there, you can do a little bit more. Okay, right? If you're cutting and you don't want to be, right? These teeth are just here to hold the lead. Only the first full tooth does your cutting. The rest are there to hold the lead. So they just need to stay engaged with the thread. So we looked at breaking this edge. Now I'm going to look at a little bit more of an advanced technique that's going to build on what I do with the throat and the method that I use there, and then work on honing the side wall of the prism. And so what I'm going to do, and again, this is trickier on dies that have smaller teeth, so we're going to show you on this one, but the basic principle is the same. Just like with the throat, we lay our stone on the throat, we match the angle, it's, you know, they're flush with one another, and then I just tip forward slightly so that the pressure is on the forward edge, right? And when I stone a throat, I'm pretty aggressive with my pressure. Again, this is more of a pike trip, but I do it on bolt dies too, because it does seem to help on anything over 1 inch, inch and a quarter. Then I'm going to apply that same principle here. I'm going to align my stone exactly, you know, with the body of prism, triangular cylinder, however you want to call it. And then I'm gonna put my pressure a little bit forward. So again, I'm gonna align it with it, and then I'm gonna have my pressure just slightly toward the forward edge. Okay. I'll set this on my desk to do it here, and I'm going to kind of and I want to avoid the root and the crest. I don't want to come across that crest of the thread and just break it off and round it off, right? I'm honing these dies. I'm not chamfering them. So again, I'm just going to come in here with my pressure towards the front, and you can use, you know, speed, you can use pressure, but what I'm just doing is I'm just kind of honing that in and creating a nice roll off. So it just rolls across the teeth that you're cutting, and if the teeth are out of proportion, it'll shave them in. But what it's not going to do is shave off a flank when it's not supposed to. And so I'm going to try and get in between everyone here. Okay, and you see I even have hit the tip of the tooth a little bit more than I wanted to. It's not a big deal, they're still gonna work. It's not. And then I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna do the same thing. So we're gonna lay it in there, okay? And I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna kind of maybe pull up a little bit so I'm not buried right into that crest there. I don't wanna go into a crest like that. That's not gonna be good. So I wanna kind of create just a little bit of a gap between the teeth. It's hard to see, you can kind of see the shadow there, but again, now I'm going to hit this side of the prism on every tooth. So I'm going to hit this side and this side on a new set of dies to really hone them in and get them working well. So you kind of, it's hard to do from an effective camera angle, but again, I'm putting my pressure forward towards the forward edge of the die, again, kind of just like on the throat, creating that roll off, just honing it in there. You're gonna see some marks on the back of the die. And what we're trying to avoid, again, is while we're doing this, we don't want to be coming in here and doing stuff like this where we're coming across the face. You know, you're gonna just dull stuff out like crazy, right? We're not carving into the die. We're just, and you can see I kind of gouged that out maybe by doing what I just did there. I mean, again, it's not that delicate. They'll be okay. It's a learning thing. They're still gonna work, but you want to be, you know, there's a little finesse to it. And then we're going to go over it again. We're going to go over to this side, right? And you can see I'm creating a little gap between them, see? And then I'm just going to, again, hone that in, pressure on the forward edge. We're on the side of the die with the pressure towards the forward edge, or the side of the tooth with the pressure towards the forward edge, right? We're not coming across it, all right? We did that earlier with light pressure and not a ton of speed. Right now we're honing, so we're just gonna come in here, okay? We're gonna hone. We're just gonna create a little bit of a roll off there. Okay, you're gonna try and avoid doing too much up here. And you can see, you see that nice shiny side there? Again, maybe a little bit too aggressive towards the tip, but actually I think it's gonna be okay. You can see it right there. This shine. That's what I'm creating, that roll off, okay? And you're gonna see marks, you'll see abrasion all along here. You can see I've kind of scuffed it up compared to this one is not, there's no scuffing, but you'll also see you don't have that roll off. There it is, okay? You don't see that on this one. You don't have that nice front roll off on the side of your tooth. Okay, that's what we're trying to create. That nice shiny roll off on the front. Not a chamfer, just a smooth roll off. And again, this is my first full tooth, so I'm probably going a little bit heavier on this than maybe I would or should. Again, it's not going to be a big deal. The rest of the dies in the set are going to make up for it. And this is probably maybe the level that I would have wanted to create on this tooth, and then maybe this is where I would have wanted to be on this tooth, but for sake of just showing you guys again. So I'm gonna get in here. Really, I'm just trying to show the technique. Now I'm on the other flank of that first full tooth. My pressure is towards the front. I'm trying to avoid the peak and the crest and just create a nice roll off there. See if I can catch it. There it is. See it? There's that nice roll off. We have it on both sides there, so you see that shine, right? It's not actually on the tangent. It's sitting just behind the tangent on the body of the prism. So that's what you're looking for. And I'm actually gonna do it because again, these are so aggressive. I'm gonna hit these a little bit in here just so it gives it a nicer little bit. Okay, and that's how I hone in a set of new bolt dies. Again, if I was doing it on a smaller thread per inch, it does create take a little bit more finesse, but you can still do it. Again, same principle. I'm just coming across, right? If I lay it in here, okay, it's the same thing. I'm just going to be a little bit more delicate. I'm going to avoid those peaks and avoid that crest, but I'm just going to get in there, hone it up, my pressure on the front. Okay, see if you can see that. Yeah, okay, kind of created a little, there it is. You see it right there. Okay. If I had a new set of bolt dies and they're not running how I want them to, I'm going to do that to every tooth, both sides, just like that. pressure towards the front. Okay, both sides. I tend to go all through one side because that way I get a rhythm and I get used to the pressure I'm doing on that side. So I'll do one flank, so I'm doing all the flanks that are facing me. Okay, all right, and then that last one's the first full tooth, so I'm just gonna give it a light, and then you should see, yep, you can see that shine I created on all those teeth there at the front. Okay, and you're not gonna see it as much there. And then I come back through, and now pressure on the ones facing away from me. One inch eighths, I'm going to do this probably less aggressively than I am on, oh, these are 1 1/4 7, so either way, on 1 1/2 sixes, I'm probably going to go a little bit harder. On the 2 inch 4 1/2s, definitely, I'm going to go hard on those. Again, it's not rocket science, it's not perfect. This does more than you're thinking it's going to do. Now there we go, we got that shine on both sides. Now there it is, you kind of see it. Harder to catch in this light, but yeah, that's basically all you're doing when you're stoning bolt dies, is creating that honed edge that just helps the dies roll across the material instead of catching it. They ride in the slot, they keep this first full tooth in place, and that's what you're doing. Oh yeah, and then you're going to do this with, you know, there's 4 dies in the set. Don't just do 1 die, you got to do all 4. Okay.